Hi, I'm Jim Bergeron, pastor at Holy Cross Lutheran Church in Houston, Texas, and this is a sermon for the second Sunday after Pentecost. Interruptions. Aren't they aggravating? You're immersed in the storyline of an interesting television program, and right when something's about to happen, your train of thinking and your viewing is interrupted by Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, with a commercial for pillows or slippers direct from his factory in Minnesota. You're adjusting your mind for this whole new set of information, and Mike Breesley says, and now I interrupt this message to tell you about Giza Dream Sheets, while he shows you a map of the Nile Delta in Egypt where the cotton is grown for his special product. Interrupt this message are words indicating high importance of emergency status. Breaking news. A major interruption has been majorly interrupted. Your mind is baffled in throes of ideational whiplash. In the confusionness of this maelstrom, you might buy more stuff simply to achieve conceptual parity. It's genius-level marketing. It's exactly how the synoptic gospel writers blend opposing storylines to create a wonderful recounting of how Jesus healed two totally different people from opposite life situations with opposite needs. The healing, a miraculous switcheroo, reorders creation from chaos, creates social parity. It diminishes human isolation and lifts up faith and mercy that creates hope and meaning. This is actually a single healing with two widely disparate components. Let us begin by noting that Jesus heals at the absolute extremes of the social margin. The richest man in town, named Jairus, is in charge of all synagogue activities, from building, maintenance, and renovation to worship and charity. His daughter has been sick. In Matthew's account, Jairus knows that his daughter has already died, but he believes it's not too late to save her if he could just get Jesus to touch her. Even though, as a dead body, she would be ritually unclean, that's asking a lot. But Jairus must wait for the ministrations of Jesus while Jesus is interrupted by a woman of no status, ritually unclean for 12 years, completely isolated, nominally worthless. It's a tense meeting of the proposition that only one of these lives should matter. But Jesus doesn't demean Jairus and family for their money and social standing, and he doesn't ignore the older woman for her impoverishment and uncleanness and marginal status. Both women are daughters of Israel and addressed by Jesus as such. In both stories, competent authorities have signed off on these cases. The best physicians with the best remedies could not heal the older woman's bleeding. The best undertakers that Jairus' money could buy pronounced the young girl dead. Sadly, that was a normal tragedy back then. By the mid-teens, 60% of people born had already died. Few regular folks lived out their 30s. Only 3% of people ever reached their 60s. To be considered an older woman means you would be older than 24 years of age. Now, both storylines involve serious ritual uncleanness. Jesus is touching either woman and will be therefore unable to legally function unless his touch removes the potential for defilement. Jesus can't be accused of uncleanness from touching the woman with the bleeding discharge, if she is now clean. He can't be accused of touching a corpse if she is now walking around and eating. This reinforces the truths from the first section of today's gospel concerning Matthew and a dispute about Jesus eating with sinners and tax collectors. He's complained upon by the Pharisees, and Jesus reminds them of Hosea's words, "I desire mercy, not sacrifice." These two women likely never met or would ever meet, but they are connected as creational equals through the agency of Jesus. They are, in fact, absolutely necessary for each other in the grand design. They're together in their need for a healing solution in their dilemmas concerning the blood of life. The gospel writers speak with amazing candor about volatile and taboo subjects. The older woman has experienced 12 years of death, uncleanness, isolation, and subsequent poverty. The girl has only experienced 12 years of life. She would have been born the same year that the older woman began unstoppable chronic bleeding. On the same day, 12 years later, both are restored. One stopped bleeding and it restored her life. The other had her life restored so that her lifeblood could flow. She would mature and eventually produce life. Throughout the Bible, blood is life. Menarche, cut short, is restored or begun by an anomaly of menopause gratefully concluded, all by Jesus' healing agency. Each woman needs what the other woman has. The blood of death becomes the blood of life, and the universe is balanced. Parity is achieved. Jesus in faith has bowed before Jesus. Jairus in faith has bowed before Jesus as an indication that they're social equals, and he's in need. It's a bold move considering the political climate. Jairus serves a constituency made up of religious elite, scribes, and Pharisees, who are not really big fans of Jesus at this point. He asks for a favor. Jesus agrees. This is a public and witnessed social contract. Jesus is duty-bound to drop everything and go take care of this. The interruption of the woman with the hemorrhage shocks everyone. Jesus interrupts a life and death mission for a VIP, which is legally contracted to care for the lowest of the low. This is a faux pas of the highest order, a complete social gaffe, and an embarrassment to anyone with a vested interest in the outcome. The scandal is heightened by the public announcement that he's too late to help Jairus' daughter. In all three gospel accounts, the mourners and the undertakers laugh at Jesus, while he tells the young girl to get up and instructs the meddling mourners, get her something to eat. His new kingdom is taking shape. The old system of honor and shame and religious purity, an unchangeable caste distinctions, it's dead. This is the symbolism of Jairus' daughter. Wealth, privilege, and entitlement aren't salvation. Her age of 12 reminds us of the 12 tribes of Israel, who may not survive the first century if they don't see the new kingdom is a new social order, with equal status and opportunity for all, with mercy as a highlight. The new kingdom is life-giving and affirming for all sides. Jesus lifts us all up. No one has to miss the kingdom party. So we all deal with interruptions. Things are going according to plan, and then sickness or tragedy or winning the lottery happens, and everything changes. At age 25, I had several goals worked out for my life in the first parish I served, Holy Trinity. Seminary had insisted on each graduate developing a 5-year plan. So 54 days after I arrived, August 23rd, 1975, the church building burned down. Now there's an interruption. Make a dear friend, and one of you moves away. Interruption. Be a part of a love that will never die, and then one of the parties does die. Tragic interruption. Interruptions can be irritating, but we know that life always changes. It always throws curveballs. Get used to it. Here comes another interruption. Whatever it was that I started doing a long, long time ago is a distant memory because of all the frustrating and beautiful interruptions that happened in the meantime. They just kept rolling over me like breakers. You can be paralyzed by interruptions and pull back and isolate. That gains nothing. Or you can make interruptions pay, produce miracles for you. You can withdraw forever because of the interruption of a lost love, or you can write $1 million song. The guy had a house on stilts by the river. He kept chickens in a pen below the house. The river flooded, the chickens all drowned. He was depressed and decided to move. But his neighbor advised, just get some geese instead. Geese and their eggs are bigger than chickens. Christian faith has very little to do with what happens to us. It has everything to do with how we handle what happens to us. The highs make us glow, but the lows make us grow. The cross on Calvary was an ultimate interruption through which Christ creatively offered salvation for all. Interruption is a second chance on the current plan, an opportunity to be alert for God's miracles and our responsive ingenuity. So we thrive in a world of interruptions, both good and bad. We thrive because, unclean, we are nevertheless touched by Jesus, the man with a flow of power. Amen.